Hi everybody, it's Kat here at Kat's Cauldron of Knowledge, and I have exciting news. I bought an upgrade to my laptop and hopefully editing will happen. Yay! So I know some of these videos are a little hard to watch because I sorely need editing. But I'm a one-woman program. I operate the camera, I figure out the show, and I have great visions of what I would like to do, but getting a laptop that could handle the editing capabilities is a huge part of this, so I am incredibly thrilled to finally have one. So with that said, what are we talking about today on Kat's Cauldron of Knowledge? Well, I really think that today I want to delve into a particular goddess because I've always had a fascination with the Morrigan, and there's a lot of misunderstandings about the Celtic gods, and also I would say to some extent the Norse gods too. A lot of people have an idea that the gods or God that they might want to connect with is a paragon of what you should be, and sometimes the gods actually lead by a negative example, and you're like, a negative example? How can that be? Well, it can be like this. When you look at a god like, for example, Zeus, who had illicit relationships constantly on his wife, and then bad things happened to his paramours, which usually spawned out of control and other things would happen. It kind of became a lesson to anyone that followed that deity that, you know, there are unintended consequences to your actions, and even a god, you know, has to acknowledge when things happen that are the direct result. Now, does he learn from the experience? No, but, you know, you as a person should be able to look at what's going on and extrapolate that and try not to repeat it in your life. When you get to the Morrigan, she tends to fall into two camps with people. Either the camp that wants to ignore the truly frightening aspects of a death goddess, a war goddess, and then the other camp are the people who really only want to focus on the death goddess, the war goddess. And she is many things. She is a triple goddess. There is confusion whether these are her sisters, whether they're just separate aspects, but she does have three parts to her. She not only is a goddess associated with ravens, which makes sense because after the battle, ravens are the cleanup crew. She is known for prophecy. She foretells things. She's a war goddess, and if you read what little bit of literature we have, and I have to explain too, we don't have direct writings from the people who would have actually venerated the Morrigan. And a lot of people believe that, like Hades, she might not have been venerated, she might have been acknowledged. But the same way you find no temples to Hades or any real statuary that dates to that time period, she might have been a deity that was known but not necessarily specifically worshipped. Do we know? No, because the people who venerated her didn't leave us anything, and what we do know is ironically written down by monks in manuscripts long after. So the cattle raid of Cooley, the Kubotan, all these stories are vastly past when we actually had anybody that was actively worshiping the old gods. So with that said, we see somebody that, especially with the warrior hero Cauldron, you know, she gives him warnings, she gives him guesses of things not to do, or X, Y, and Z will happen. And of course, he does X, Y, and Z. Some of it you could argue is a trick, because she tells him never to eat the meat of a dog. And when he's offered food, it's a water dog, basically. It's a long, involved story, but it's like an otter-type creature, if I remember right. And he ends up breaking that geas, and it leads to his last great epic battle. And she comes off somewhat capricious and spiteful at times, but I think with all of these gods, you have to bear in mind that they were never created to be epiphanies of goodness and light, and they were not meant to really love humanity in a way that people nowadays would be comfortable with. If you really want to look at it, they tended to admire things in a worshiper that the worshiper wants to bring to the table, like bravery, intelligence, a willingness to solve your own problems, a willingness to follow the rules. Unlike a Judeo-Christian God that looks to save you, these gods are more interested in you saving yourself. And it's not the most comfortable setting to be on, which is why modern day recreationists of these old religions sometimes err, I think, to the extreme of pink bubble happiness, and then, you know, a little too much of the hardcore, you know, we can have no fun, or, you know, there's nothing happy about them. And I honestly think that these gods being reflections of ourselves, I don't think the Morrigan was someone that would have been, you know, constantly a hardcore battle goddess. I think there would have been times that she would have enjoyed her life, or some of her worshippers, but I also think that she's a dangerous deity in that you wouldn't want to conspicuously offend her. So I have always loved the Morrigan only because, as a kid, hearing the stories of the cattle raid of Cooley and different things, the idea of shape changing and transformation to me, and a goddess that would have a favorite like Cauldron and would show up to him at different points of his life, I really liked that. I wanted signposts in my life, and looking back on it, I didn't have a specific battle goddess, but I think sometimes there were signposts for who and what I was that I should have paid attention to, and then I probably could have saved myself a lot of grief. But you know, the thing about these gods is that they translate later into fairy lore. Washerwomen at streams are a direct descendant of the story of the Morrigan, and particularly when she appears to Cauldron once washing out battle armor. So I also think that because you also have this story of her meeting Dagda, this father god of the Tua Didanu, that she meets him at a river, and it's before they have a big battle, and they come together and they have sex, and she agrees to summon magicians, and they end up winning. And that also shows that that is the beginning and an end coming together, life and death, and creating something. So, you know, it's hard for me to believe that she's just one negative, hardcore, evil thing, or that she's goodness and light totally too. I think, like humanity, she's a reflection of all the things that we are and aren't, and sometimes we're extremely good, and sometimes we're just pretty darn evil. So, anyways, I really enjoy the fact too that she's also a sovereignty goddess. She's somebody who's concerned with mantles of power, rule, that kind of thing. So I someday hope to get to Ireland, where a part of my family came from. I would like very much to actually see the place that that these gods came from, or the concepts for them. I really do. And looking at it, there is so many places. It says County Kerry has got hills that are linked to the Morrigan. County Tipperary has a mound or a funerary site called the Cooking Pit of the Morrigan. So yeah, I'd love to see that. But today's chat is really just about the fact that I wanted to share an interest I have in a deity that I find fascinating. I wanted to chat a little bit about just how I think this particular goddess functioned, and I want to say that anybody who listened to my ramble, leave comments below, and please hit like and subscribe. Also, if you have an idea for the show or what you want to hear about, let's do that too. I plan on having more guests. I plan on this getting more and more interesting as we go along. And I want to thank my friends at Earthbound Metaphysical Shop, because this fabulous room that I get to do all of my readings and tape this is given to me by the guys just because. And I deeply appreciate that. So if you're in North Syracuse on Main Street, please stop in. Buy one of their delicious coffees, look at all the products, get a reading from me. And that's really about it. Anyways, I hope everybody has a fabulous weekend, and thanks for stopping in and listening to Cat's Cauldron. Have a great day. Bye.